Bright suns and rising moons, fellow droids. Welcome to Not the Droids podcast. I'm Danny.
And I'm Mayuri, and today we have come to episode 6 of the Acolyte titled Teach slash Corrupt. So we're back to this kind of naming mechanism, which is great. Um, Danny, when did this release?
This released on July 2nd of 2024, with it being episode 6. That means there's only 2 episodes left in the season and the show series.
I don't understand where this show is going. I'm not gonna lie. Usually I can see it coming,
I feel like I
and
knew where the show would be going if the seasons continued. But knowing it's like 2 episodes left, I'm like, I don't know where we're going now.
well, I feel like they filmed it intending for other seasons.
Yes.
So there is that, and the cancellation I think was kind of a shock for most people in production for this show. But honestly, I'm usually pretty good at picking up context clues. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, there are many different directions we can still go after this episode.
Yes.
And I am unsure of what's going to happen and where we're going to end the season. Because usually, like at this point, you're like, yeah, I kind of see where the story is leading up to. This is going to be the great big finale.
Yep.
We're just trying to get there. So, like this episode, I laughed because as soon as we started, we were on this like deserted island in the middle of the water on
The
a
unknown
random
planet.
unknown planet. And have you seen that clip of SpongeBob where he goes, "It's a rock"? I have to send it to you because this whole beginning part of the episode, she's like looking around, and I was like, "It's a rock. It's a rock. There's more rocks. It's a giant rock. Is it a mountain or a big rock?" I was just laughing because I was like, I think she's trying to figure out how to leave, but even the ship is like on a different rock.
Yep.
I was like, girl, you hopeless. You know what? This man, he has a home and it is peaceful and serene. And maybe we just stay there.
And no matter where he goes, he has a nice ocean view.
Exactly. But that's where I was just like, they were switching back and forth a lot. I feel like even more so than the early episodes that were dual point of view.
Yes, we were getting a lot more back and forth of what was going on.
And it did take me a second in the beginning to like really orient, like, oh, we're already going back and then we're coming right back.
Hmm.
Because like even the notes that I took, I literally wrote one in all caps, a rock, and then two, Saul is so sad. And I was like, the fact that those comments are right
Yeah,
next to each other, it's just like nothing else happened in between. It's just switching back and forth so fast. But I Saul was so sad.
he was.
And so he like still hasn't noticed that it's May, but Basil is just like,
I love Basil. Basil knows something's up. I will also say it took a while, and this is not a bad thing, for anything to actually be spoken in this episode.
yeah. I think the first time they actually speak in the episode is when they go back to Osha's point of view, right?
I didn't make mention of when I made the note when we had gotten through all of OSHA's and we ended up on Kofar where May is. And that's where I made the note. So I didn't have a note of where it was actually said, but it had already been I feel like the first thing we actually heard was
Was
Basil
Basil.
screeches.
Yeah. When he I just he was looking for a place to plug in Pip,
Yes.
which was so cute that that's what his first thing was to plug in Pip. But then we like see that and then we go back because we've seen Saul's grief finally at losing. He's trying to communicate. I think that might have been the first. He was actually trying to get across to, I don't know, the main whatever that the team is lost. Like they're putting out a distress call, and that's why he's just so sad. And then they go back, and I told you that I am too much of a dark romance girly for where this episode went because I was just like, why is Manny like one? I have to say, he's just so hot that it's distracting. And then it's just like she thinks she's being so sneaky to like get the lightsaber, and you see the smirk on his face
He
while he's in
knows.
the water. He knows she's not.
Also, he's not, we've already recognized he's not dumb. Like,
And
he's
he is
hidden his
very
identity. So he left that saber there on purpose.
he left it. He he's very in tune with the force. So like she coming in, he's following her with like her force, life force. Like he's feeling it. So like he knows
Sensing
she's there.
his spidey tingles.
Yeah, his spidey tingles are telling him she's there. And I enjoy when he comes out and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, if you're not going to join me in the water, I'm going to put my clothes back on. Thanks." Like, what else did you think we were doing
Yeah.
here? But yeah. And then we switch back. And that's where I was just like, I it's very well placed, the switches, because it keeps you kind of
Oh, it's also
jarred.
like a little bit of a mind bend because you have to remember which sister is which.
And now they look exactly the same
And
with their
because they're going
hair.
back and forth so quickly, you're like, wait, this is May. Wait, why has Saul not figured this out yet?
But I think that's intentional to kind of make sure that you are not at rest, right? Like you're
Yes.
kind of in that, like, it's very jarring how
Yeah.
often they're switching back and forth. And so that's where it's just like the part. So, like, this part, they dock the ship, which honestly, I'm obsessed with this idea that they leave like the boosters of the ship above the planet. And
Hmm.
then they like bring, it's that, I've never seen that before, but Saul does what I originally thought was going to be like an attack, kind of. It felt very forceful. And I was like, oh, maybe he realized it's May. And he hugs her because he's so sad. He's so sad. And I think she was shocked by it too.
She had a bleed out. She was
I know
shocked.
she was ready to kill him.
She was ready. She
Um,
was like, kidnapping the ship. It's mine.
um, and then like they're just trying to fix the comms. And I love when he just like figures out there's something wrong and he just looks at May because OSHA is a whatchamacallit, like a tech,
Hmm.
whatever, a human version of a droid that can fix it. And he's just like, can you go check? Because he knows that she should be able to fix the ship. And she was just like, yeah, sure. Give me a minute, I
But
guess.
what happens before then?
I didn't write any notes.
Basil stomps on her foot and Pip spits at her and she
Oh yeah,
resets
that's
Pip.
right. Oh, wait, no, I did. Okay, so you're right. And then this is the continuation of this scene. Basil trying to fight her was so funny. So funny. And I'm like, she's looking at him like, are you joking? Is this happening right now? Do you really want to do this?
And then she says,
I
ouch.
I was so upset that she reset Pip.
I was so angry.
I was so upset because I was just like, that is legitimately OSHA's best friend that you just
She
rewrote.
killed another person in Osha's life.
She just put and then did you notice that when Pip came back, he had red lights?
Red lights.
And I was like, I guess is Pip evil now? So
I don't think Pip
annoying.
is evil. I think he's on factory setting. I don't like it.
That's evil.
He has no personality now. He's
There's
just a
no
computer.
personality. He just does things. Um, and then of course we go back to OSHA. I literally wrote because they go back into the domicile, and I'm just like, This is a hot man with a home who is emotionally intelligent and just wants to teach you things. I would turn evil so fast. I would be like, you know
Oh yeah,
what?
you're already
You're
gone.
right. I'm on the dark side.
So, and he mentions that he made a mistake with May, that he hadn't realized she didn't want more than just revenge. He mentions about his past that someone threw him away, and Osha says, "Your Jedi Master." So
And
is
he
this
doesn't
Saul
respond. Yeah, so I think that it might be either
or a friend
Saul.
of Saul? Because like, how many Padawans has this man gone through?
I think that, hold on, what's her
And
name?
why aren't they
It's,
stopping him from taking on Padawans? Because
what
that's
is,
already three we've seen. If he is also.
yeah, he's killing. I think that it was Renestra. That's what I think.
Mhm.
And I
He would
wonder,
recognize his own Padawan, so he might be, if Saul would be adjacent to.
yeah, so because they would still be adjacent, but like Vernestra and Saul are close. And so I wonder if like he is assuming Saul recognizes his force signature.
Part of me was wondering slash thinking that when he was being trained as a Jedi, he was really young and that he's not recognizable because he is now of adult age.
Yeah, so like that's where it's like it could be Saul, but and clearly Saul is not good at distinguishing energies since he can't decide
Well,
that
he was also
May
emotionally in distress,
distressed, I guess. So
which Jedi
and
aren't supposed to be.
yeah, so that's where I'm just kind of like, but I feel like they're highlighting like Master Vanestra a lot, and
Yeah.
I feel like she is important to the story. And so I have a
We're
feeling,
following her too much for her not to be.
yes, I think we're following her too much for her not to be his old master.
Mhm.
And I think that she has an inkling that it might
Well,
be him.
especially because she's gonna know his fighting style. So when she's studying a field
Battle scene.
full of bodies,
I know.
she'll be
I
like,
like how
"Hmm,
I like how they were just like maybe the Umbra moths killed all the Jews. That was best case scenario, right? Like that's the best case
yeah,
scenario.
but like you could also just like question him like, and then they called in a distress call.
So like them going down, and you can see by like her Padawan or the other Jedi's faces that they're just shook. And when he's just like, "Do you think that Saul did this?" And she was just like, "I don't know." But I think she's starting because she's very skilled, right? Like she is the top of the pyramid in this situation. She's basically one below
Can we talk
the
about her lightsaber?
council. Yes. Because that was cool. Because also she's very connected enough to the force that she felt it coming. And I've never seen a lightsaber like that. I didn't even know that they could do that.
You're now like, where do I get my lightsaber whip?
Listen, yes. There's no way that you could get like a real life lightsaber whip without making it yourself. But that was cool. And also, how does that happen? You look like you know something, but you can't talk about it.
No,
Uh
Googling if you can.
oh.
I'm just saying, Neo Sabers has lightsaber whips.
Uh I don't have space for literally anything else in my life, but I want one. But yeah, so that's where I'm just like that storyline is like oddly present
Yes, especially
for
in
it.
this episode when we're starting to try to figure things out.
So that's where I'm just like, I think because she knows you can tell on her face while she's inspecting it, and I can't tell because they keep So I don't know if this is a Jedi thing, but they keep doing the flashback audio of the fight, and I can't tell if she's like feeling the imprint of what
I
happened.
That's what I felt like what was happening, and she was like feeling, and I don't think that's necessarily a Jedi thing, but I think she was pulling a Frozen Water Holds Memories, Frozen 2 specifically,
Yeah,
Water Holds Memory moment there, and I felt like it was her like figuring out what happened, and I don't think that's a normal
I
Jedi thing.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know because I was just like, I don't know if they were just flashing us back to what happened to those people
Yeah.
or if they were flashing us back because she
I just
was
felt like
feeling it.
she was aware of it.
Because that's what it felt like because her Padawan was asking her questions.
And he felt
But
very oblivious, but she seemed to be like zoning in on something.
can I just highlight one thing? We kind of skipped over when she decided to join the rescue mission, and that Jedi Padawan, whoever he was like, "Are you sure you want to come with us to the outer rim?" You know what I'm talking about? And she's just like, "Why wouldn't I?" And he's just like, "You get nauseous." And she's like, "I'll be fine." And I'm just like, I've never heard of anybody on the show in this universe getting air sickness.
Space sickness? All
For
right.
her to get
So
it, I thought it was funny. Sorry, that was just like a really
that's
funny
okay.
moment.
It is
It's such a serious like episode that like one little thing where you're just like, oh my god, the scary Jedi Master with the lightsaber whip also gets nauseous when she goes into
yeah.
hyperspace. But yeah, so I mean, they're figuring it out. Saul can't figure out it's May until I think Basil tells him.
I think so. Because
I think
Basil just
that's what
happens to be
happened.
right there. He's
I
like, dude, my
I
guy, you're supposed to be a Jedi here.
yeah, so I think either that or he indicated enough that Saul finally took a pause.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why he left right before the rescue came back and where he's going.
Because they were not going to allow him to go after OSHA.
That's true. Oh, because he thought he had OSHA and now he knows he doesn't have OSHA and OSHA's not on the planet. He has to assume the master has OSHA.
And
So
I think
he's going to
either way, he
use
may have just
May.
decided to go after the master, even if it hadn't
Yeah,
been.
he killed everybody.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm just like, I don't know where he's going next because he programmed, like May didn't program it.
I
So,
think he's hunting.
but yeah, but when we do eventually get back to OSHA and the master, I just want to highlight that he literally knocks his helmet like cook, cook, and he goes, Kurtosis, it's a very useful material to deaden the senses and help protect
It's
the
a
mind.
deprivation headpiece.
But I just want to say, because I asked last episode, I was just like, do we think the helmet actually helps against Jedi? And in fact, it does. And I have,
It's not because some people would go mad if they were only heard themselves, the Force, and what you bring with you.
well, I did not realize until, at the end of this episode that OSHA puts it on. And I was like, oh, bro, there's literally no vision in that mask.
No.
So that's where it's
He's
even
doing
more
like the
impressive.
blindfolded Jedi type of thing.
That's where the
Have
fight gets more impressive because he has that helmet on the whole time.
and he has to
It's,
rely on the Force. Did you ever watch Big Bang Theory?
yes,
The episode where they're in the sensory baths and Amy is like freaking out completely, and Sheldon is just like in his very happy space bubble. That is my thought on this helmet is that some people will be like, yes, I'm good. Other people will go insane.
I'm one of the people that would go insane. But this is where it kind of plays into like, that like in real life, when people have one of their senses taken away, they have to rely on the other ones to account for that. So I wonder if that's part of the training to get more in touch with the force because his level of awareness is, I honestly think at this point, unprecedented.
It is, but they also had the conversation earlier on where that the Jedi have to constantly train or they lose their gift.
Yeah.
Whereas if you use those emotions of anger and fear, that you can essentially feed it from a different power.
Yeah.
And
That's
so I
true. And
think
then
that's
it
part of,
doesn't deaden. It's just always live.
yeah.
So like that, I mean, that has to be part of the like Sith training. And that's where Osha clocks it, that he's talking about the dark side.
Yes.
And she's learned all about it because, she was a Jedi Padawan. So
Yes.
that's where I am shocked, but not shocked because it plays out with the story well that she actually put the mask on.
Yep. And that's how it ends.
Because, like, I honestly think out of Osha and May, Osha is the better pupil, right? Like, because she already has the discipline from Jedi training.
But even as a child, like even though like May was like lifted up, she just kind of noticed more because like even when they were like sitting in the Forbidden Forest that they were in on the first episode, um, May was pure emotion and always has been.
So May is the reactionary sister,
I think so.
whereas Osha is the sit and take in and like
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is. I can't think of the word, but
Contemplative ish.
yeah. Or she just at least like she won't react right away, but she'll very much want to take in all the information first
Yeah.
before making a decision. Um and that's where I'm kind of just like where are they all going to meet at a head? That's where I'm just like, where is this show going to go? Has Osha ever been on this unknown planet? Does she know the coordinates? Is Saul gonna make her take him there? Or are they gonna draw out Chimere, the stranger, the master, whatever Manny's character is called, so that he brings Osha with him? And are they now kind of on the run from the Jedi in a
I
different way?
don't feel like there's a like instance where our stranger would fall for anything to like bring Osha with him. Like that's always going to
Yeah.
be his choice.
Well, unless he still wants May, like because he said
It doesn't
when
sound
she,
like he wants her though. He wants an acolyte, and he already said, I made a mistake with May. Like she is driven by retaliation, and I was
not,
wrong.
yeah,
And that's why he took Osha. And I don't think he would care to like go after May at this point. He wants to convince Osha to his side.
yeah. So that's where I'm just kind of like, hmm. And
Yep.
what will happen if May finds out that Osha is chosen over her, our
Right?
little psychopath? I don't think she would like that
I don't
very
know that she
much.
would necessarily care because I don't think she was in it to become this acolyte. She was in it for the revenge.
I
But
don't
now that
know,
her
but
sister is back, I think she'd be more hurt. Like she couldn't get her sister back. I think her goal is to get her sister back
yeah. So
and still finish out her revenge because there's only one left. So
I'm wondering in the next episode if we're gonna get Saul's point of view of what happened on Brendock,
maybe
or if we're gonna get the Master telling Osha what actually happened.
the next episode is called Choice. So we haven't done this in a while, and I have a very clear winner here. Who won this episode?
I think Manny's character, the Master, won this episode. Why?
Because Basil obviously won this episode.
I mean, Basil did great, but in terms like
Basil's the only one that knew everything. He's like, she's wrong. He needs charged. This Jedi knows nothing anymore.
can we just talk about the moment that Basil thought that he was sneaking away with his flashlight in the underneath the ground and they shoot to May literally following the light of his flash.
But still,
So,
Basil
I mean,
wins.
I respect your choice. I'm still gonna
You
go.
just love Manny. If Manny's in the episode, you're gonna claim he won.
I just think he's the most interesting person on the show at this point.
He is, but he really didn't like do too much this episode besides be shirtless and talk
Oh,
about a helmet.
no, listen, that's enough. But I'm telling you, I literally, and he leaned over OSHA. That was enough. But
Basil
he's,
won.
I think he won. Basil, I will accept as the only alternative. But the master is manipulating OSHA with the truth and choice. It's all her choice. He's not forcing her. He's telling her the truth in such a way that it makes her think about her priorities and what she believes. And so for me, in terms of like complexity of thought and character,
Yeah,
he won this episode because he's achieving his goal.
I guess I'll give it to you. Go
Yes.
Basil.
We gotta love the baddies, okay? Respect where respect is due.
And with that, we're not the droids you're looking for.
But we're the droids you're gonna get.